San Francisco is full of strong opinions about housing, schools, crime, the mayor, the Board of Supervisors, all of it. But ask someone what local politics actually means, and it gets foggy.
Is it just what happens at City Hall? Is it going to another protest? Running for office? Making memes on Twitter? Like, really? What is being political in SF?
In this first episode of Between the Fog and Fury, we're starting with that question. Not from the top down, but from the street level. The group chats, the policy fights, the organizing, and the burnouts.
We're breaking down what political work actually looks like in this city, the unglamorous stuff that still moves power, and we'll share how each of us ended up in the middle of it.
This is Between Fog and Fury, a podcast about San Francisco politics from an Asian American perspective.
Oh my gosh, you guys, how are y'all doing?
This is our first episode.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm Michael Wynn. I am also Juicy Lou, a drag queen, activist, community organizer, but also a resident of San Francisco for almost 20 years. And I'm like a tech lawyer turned into a politician type, I guess. I sit on the DCCC as an elected member of the Democratic Party.
Hi everyone, my name's Jeremy Lee. I am a proud third-generation San Franciscan, and I have worked in Chinatown for nearly a decade doing advocacy work there, and it's, great to be with you all.
I'm Natalie G., born and raised in San Francisco and have been in community and politics for over 25 years. I'm also your favorite policy nerd.
Oh my god, policy nerds. Only policy nerds would do this on a Sunday morning. Seriously.
We got up early for this.
We got up super early, but we wanted to sort of bring politics from our perspective, Asian American perspective. And if you only experience San Francisco politics online, you'd really probably never want to touch it, right?
Yeah, it's toxic out there.
It's very toxic.
And I think a lot of the messaging gets lost, a lot of the fights get lost, and we're here to help people understand and kind of lift the fog, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also a lot of yelling, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of yelling, and it's a lot of call-outs, and it's people dunking on each other with screenshots and screen grabs. I mean, you were there, Board of Supervisors.
All the receipts. It's not exactly a nurturing environment for folks to just jump in.
Yeah, but I think really politics is about the work, and the internet isn't. So, we're trying to get people to understand, like, hey, what we actually do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're lifting the fog to make this a little bit easier and more accessible for everyday people.
Is it always just fighting, though?
It's not. There's a lot of work behind it scenes.
It's a lot of boring work, grueling work, tedious work.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always loud. It's actually like behind the scenes kind of working to where do you agree on things and lots of little phone calls and lots of, so we were really trying to get behind the myths and behind the tweets because it's not just who's in office, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's the folks behind the scenes, like people working as ledge aides, people working as organizers, advocacy from outside and the inside, yeah.
And also trying to make sure like the smallest voices are represented and the most vulnerable voices are also represented in this.
Yeah, you think about monolingual seniors, working class families, people with kids. Like, it's hard to stay involved in politics and to really know what's going on. But these are people who really need to be advocated for to get resources in this city because we know that the most moneyed forces, the most loudest voices, those are oftentimes end up getting the resources in this city.
Yeah, so I mean, we can start there, like how we got into that campaign life, because campaigns, I think politics is all about campaigns. Is it just campaigns, or is it like governing too? It's right.
Definitely, it's kind of both.
Yeah, I think like campaigns are the jumping point for a lot of people, most people. I think for all of us.
We were all involved with campaigns, and campaigns are brutal.
Yeah.
It can be fun. There are good things to it. I memean, it's very stressful, but it can be very rewarding, right? If you get like a candidate that you want elected, like in New York, which is what happened with the mayoral race, right? With Mamdani winning, that's the people's choice. But it's also very stressful because that's where a lot of like the negativity on attack ads and like trying to tear down someone, that's where it happens too.
I like to, okay, by the way, when I got up this morning and I was like, oh, I'm doing this thing at 9 in the morning on a Sunday, it felt very like I'm going to do some campaigning, actually.
Yeah,
like
totally,
it felt like
totally.
I got some coffee going,
Yeah.
I got a little, get some water, I got my campaign, like, walking shoes.
Gotta be comfy.
Got
right?
some comfy, comfy cozy, don't know what's going to happen, but I'm prepared for all things. What's your favorite memory from your campaigns? It could be your first campaign, could be your most recent campaigns.
My favorite memory is I met my husband on a campaign. So, sometimes you can find love on a campaign.
Nice. I think some of my favorite campaign memories are just being out there in the field in the middle of the night doing like a lit drop at like 4 a.m. with all of like the other campaign staff. You're all kind of delusional, all a little like...
Especially on election day.
Yeah, it's
right?
like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like, you're not running on sleep.
This is what I'm doing with my life, but it's in service of a candidate. It's in service of elevating this person who you know and fully believe is going to fight for your community, to fight for the people that you care and love about.
Yeah, what I love about campaigning is like it's very much on the messaging on like what gives you hope in the world, basically, and a lot of hope core messaging. But also, because it's kind of like why else would you volunteer on your Saturdays and Sundays walking around precincts and either door knocking or lit dropping or engaging with voters and. Or going to the farmer's market and holding a sign for hours, right? Like, I mean, that's different. And I don't know, my first campaign memory, I was on Tom Temprano's re-election campaign for City College. And it was like around Halloween, and I was like putting together a rally, and I wore Ruth Bader Ginsburg had just passed, but I was giving her, giving drag realness, but also in, Halloween costuming and handing out and I was like, is this campaigning? I guess we're campaigning.
Yeah. I mean, like it should be a little fun, and really, it's about getting attention. It's about engaging voters, however that may happen, because voters have a lot going on in their lives. They're busy people, and it's hard to get them focused and directed towards politics because it's such a low priority for a lot of people.
And a lot of people get mailers during election season. A lot of mailers, like every day. We actually made a whole skit together.
Yeah, tell us about it. Give context. What were we running for?
So the three of us ran for the local Democratic Party. It's called the DCCC, Democratic County Central Committee.
Yeah.
And the three of us also started making reels on Instagram and just trying to make the campaign fun, because a lot of it was a lot of just grueling, like tiresome work. So around that time, SNL came out with a skit called Big Dumb Cups about the big Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're like, why don't we turn this into on mailers, and so we called it Big Dumb Mailers.
Yeah, because we were being attacked, as one does, in campaign mailers, but they were using the same mailer.
Yeah.
Like 5 times over with different colors.
Literally copy paste.
Yeah.
And it was sent out by all these like different quote unquote organizations, but it was really the same group of people, the same exact address, just different names, different colors of the mailers. But it was essentially the same attack ad.
And all attacking on all of us, and we're all just like young organizers here in the city. We all want to do good for the city, but it was just like insane seeing just like, oh wow, they're attacking me, Natalie, they're attacking Jeremy, they're attacking Michael, like.
Because they were claiming we support fentanyl dealers.
Which we don't. Which is because like in campaigns they just kind of lie sometimes, right? It's a straight up lying.
Totally.
And how do you deal with that? It's like, how did y'all deal with it? Make a joke out of it?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to.
Have to laugh about it, right?
Yeah, because it's like, really, we spend a majority of our waking hours just trying to move the needle, trying to fight for our communities, and for some random moneyed force to be like, oh, you don't care about drug dealers in San Francisco. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think, SF is also really divided in politics, but I think this is another topic for another time. There are the progressives, there's moderates, and honestly, I feel like, we are all the same, or we're all the shade of blue, but a different shade of blue. But we'll talk more about that next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to hear about our origin stories and like kind of how we got pulled into all of this crazy stuff in San Francisco politics. And I'll start because so again, I'm a drag queen named Juicy Liu. Find me on Instagram, Juicy Liu Realness, Liu Realness. And I, I got my start as a drag queen in a pageant, honestly, like with GAPA, the GLBTQ plus Asian Pacific Alliance. And it was 2016 August. I literally was like, I guess I'll run for this pageant thing. And then it was the next. I won. I missed GAPA 2016. Thank you. But then the next day, I was at a backyard barbecue fundraiser for Asian LGBTQ scholarships and stuff. And the aunties were kind of reading me, and I was getting some food, and like, Juicy, why aren't more gay Asian men involved in the movement? And I was like, I'm here for the lumpia. I did not know. I did not know suddenly I have to be representing our all Gaysians. But it kind of was that kind of feeling, and that's kind of what politics is. It's like people who are putting themselves in the front and kind of representing whole communities. And that was sort of my first taste of community organizing and kind of politics a little bit. This sort of why is that the case? And so that kind of became my theory of change. And I wanted to understand that question and thank the aunties, of course, for asking it. But, I'm curious to hear what pulled you into politics, more full-time anyway.
Yeah, my story is kind of interesting. So I was working a corporate job, absolutely hated it. And then I decided to just drop everything and leave the country for 3 years.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I spent some time in Taipei, in Australia, backpacking, Asia, all that good stuff. And in that time, I realized, hey, I kind of want to try politics. It was something that I was always interested in kind of growing up, but never really thought about as a kind of career thing. So I came back in about the summer of 2016, did some research on local races. The kind of most competitive one was the state senate race between Scott Wiener and Jane Kim.
Yeah.
And I did my research. I went on YouTube, watched their debates, and I was like, I like Jane. So I reached out and was like, hey, I want to volunteer. And then I just I showed up one day, started phone banking, and then the field director was like, hey, we need some help at this town hall. Can you go and pass out some flyers there? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then it was a really fun time. And so I just became a super volunteer. Mm-hmm. I fell in love with the work. I fell in love with Jane and her message for a better San Francisco. Yeah, since then, it's just kind of opened a lot of doors. Just being in this space, I was able to realize hey, all politics is local. All politics is rooted in community. And through that, I was able to get a job at a local nonprofit where do a lot of community work, housing work, and I've never looked back. I remember my first week at work, and every time I left, I caught myself smiling because I was just so grateful.
I love that.
To be here in this space, and
it's the warm fuzzy feeling, right?
To do it. Really, yeah. I'm fighting for SRO families, for Chinatown folks who are barely scraping to get by, and to start their life here, to have that American dream, and just the conditions that they live in are just horrible, but they somehow make it work. And I want to do my part to make their lives better, to make their lives easier, because the country doesn't make that easy. Yeah. So Natalie, what about your story?
I kind of started in Chinatown too, but that was a little bit later in my life. So I started with my mom is a monolingual Chinese immigrant, and so as I was growing up, she was still learning English. But she forbade me to speak English at home. So I had to speak to her in Cantonese. And she really wanted to get involved with our neighborhood organizing groups and just community meetings. But she didn't understand what was going on at those meetings. So at a really, really young age, she pulled me to go with her to these meetings. And I had to translate for her from English to Cantonese of what was happening in our neighborhood. So at a really young age, I got pulled into just neighborhood organizing. I think one of the first campaigns that I kind of worked on was like trying to stop AT&T or Cellular. It used to be called Cellular, or I don't forget.
Cellular One?
I don't remember. It was
Singular.
Like Singular. There we go.
Yeah, I remember that. Singular wireless.
Yeah,
unlimited points or whatever.
Yeah, they were trying to like install a bunch of antennas in our neighborhood. And like we grew up in like a low income working class neighborhood in San Francisco, in the Portola. So my mom was like organizing with people, with all the Chinese residents and stuff, and I would be her translator. So that was like one of the first things I kind of remember. But I also went like door knocking with her because I think she was like volunteering for certain candidates.
Wow.
For the DCCC.
Wow. Okay, so she's like in it.
Yeah. But like she was volunteering for like Marlene Tran, who's like this legend of like Chinese, I guess Chinese mixed women in the community who did a lot of ESL classes and citizenship classes. And so my mom would like take me with her to go door knocking and drop flyers for her DCCC race. And this was like when, I don't even know what age I was, but I was a kid. So throughout like my high school, middle school life, I was just like very involved with my neighborhood stuff.
Wow.
And then once I graduated high school, I was like, I kind of want to do something more. My mom, of course, was like, oh, I want you to be a pharmacist or a doctor, the typical Asian American experience. I did not like biochem. I could not understand it. So I ended up seeing a flyer for a youth program in Chinatown called Common Roots. Through Chinese Progressive Association. So I joined the program. I really liked it because it was like doing a lot of this community organizing stuff. We were working on a lot of environmental justice issues in San Francisco. I got to meet with like a lot of other youth in San Francisco. So I was in that program. I ended up staying in that program, becoming one of the lead youth organizers, and then I got hired on as staff.
Wow.
So I, as like part-time staff while still going to college. So I ended up being at CPA for maybe like a little bit more than a decade, where sometime in that time I also started another youth program called Youth Mojo for high schoolers, mainly to get high schoolers to get involved in their community, learn about the community, and see what like issues they want to work on. Something that I kind of wanted more in high school. But then I got burned out.
I mean, working with youth, it can be very burning out. Like,
I mean, it's nonprofit work too, because like nonprofit doesn't really pay, and I think I was just like, I was hustling on the side being a wedding photographer, so I was gonna do wedding photography as my full time. So I ended up quitting my job at CPA and was like, I'm done with politics and organizing because I was just so burned out. And then like a few months later, one of my friends who I met through CPA doing workers' justice work, Hillary Ronan, she's like, I'm gonna run for supervisor and I need a Chinese campaign organizer. And I'm like, I can speak Chinese. I grew up in the area that she was running in. So I ended up jumping on her campaign, running the Chinese field program, and then eventually like the entire field program. And this was 2016. So I got pulled back into electoral politics.
We all got in 2016.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to quit.
It was a big year for a lot of people.
It was a big year.
It was a big year. And so, very stressful campaign, but we won. And I think it was a really interesting win because even though we won locally, nationally, that was the first time Trump got elected. So it was a somber election night, but we were like, but we won though, so it was just like a lot of mixed feelings. So from that, I think I was in Hillary's office for a little bit as her alleged aide, and then I jumped off to work on Shaman Walton's campaign in District 10, Bayview, Viz Valley, no, not Portal. Just kidding. Bayview, Viz Valley, Dogpatch, and Potrel Hill. I was trying to say Potrel Hill. And so he won, and I've been his chief of staff since day one for the last, like, almost 7 years now.
Crazy.
So in City Hall. So kind of a long story.
No, that's great. Well, I'm curious. Maybe we should all reflect on this question. Like, when did you stop helping? Like, when did you start, stop just being the person handling out flyers to actually start being political?
Oh, I think for me it was just when I understood how like the whole cake was made, when I understood the nuances of the system that I was trying to affect change in. Once so after the campaign in 2016 ended, I started interning in Jane Kim's supervisor office. And through that I was able to see like, oh, this is how legislation is actually passed. I also saw how advocacy actually worked. I remember in 2016, one of the measures that Jane helped author was free city college. and which passed in 2016. So we were the first city in the nation to provide free city college again, because community college used to be free in this country. Now it's not. And one of the big fights was this measure appropriated all these funds for city college, but at the time Mayor Lee wasn't really keen on actually spending that money. So we were organizing with AFT 2121, holding demonstrations at City Hall to say, hey...
Explain what AFT 2121 is.
Oh, sorry. It's the American Federation of Teachers. It's the local union of the city college faculty. So they had skin in the game with that. I think Prop W was the measure for free city college. They were at City Hall. They had these like lyric sheets where we would kind of like chant songs. And it was all just like put pressure on the mayor to be like, hey, we fought for this measure. We got this passed across the entire city. This is going to make a world of difference to fresh high school grads, people who want a fresh start in their careers, working mothers who want to get more experience. Like, this is transformational. And so, Mayor Lee, please take this money and implement free city college like the will of the people wanted.
That's incredible. I feel like I was just kind of on the sidelines for the longest time. Just kind of like, I go to a rally here and there. I go, donate some money if I can. I'm a lawyer, so I had no time for doing anything, right? I'm still a lawyer. But, I think for me was really the drag queen moment where I'm physically in a position where I'm kind of representing a whole segment of the community, and then kind of seeing, like, as you said, like the meta process, the bigger process of like how things actually move for legislation, how you interact with elected officials, how suddenly when you're like the head of a LGBT API organization, they want you to involve you in things. And I didn't realize that was actually an intentional, let's come with me and like, I'll teach you this legislation stuff. And there wasn't really, at the time, I didn't understand this whole moderate progressive divide stuff. So I was just kind of like, everybody, hey, I'm the chair I became the chair of GAPA in 2017, and I was chair for like 5 years, and really helped build it up again. It's an all volunteer organization. We rebranded. It was formerly the Gay Asian Pacific Alliance. Then we rebranded to the GLBTQ plus Asian Pacific Alliance, which is a mouthful. We just marched in the Pride Parade. Actually, marching in the Pride Parade is actually a big deal, because then you get elected officials to come with you sometimes. We had David Chu march with us. So that was really fun. He's so supportive, but also like, it's funny. He's like, oh yeah, you're straight. I forgot.
Ally.
I forget. But
he's an ally.
He's a super ally. He's super ally. But Natalie, was there a point when because for me, that was sort of a point when I started leading organizations like volunteers. It's like, I'm being political. I'm not just helping out anymore. I'm not just going to a rally and handing out signs or something.
I think it was probably because even at CPA, I was still doing like political work. Like, we were advocating on campaigns for Healthy San Francisco to make sure that there was healthcare for like low income working families and like children. So that was like one of the biggest campaigns I remember working on. But I don't really remember a turning point. I just know that when I was burned out, I was just really tired from everything. And when I got pulled back into Hillary's campaign, it was like talking to my neighbors, talking to them in Chinese about the issues and helping them understand, like, we have a supervisor race happening, right? What do we want to see improve in our neighborhood? And I think that was the turning point of like, oh, this is fun, I want to get back into it. And so it's interesting where life takes us, because at first I was like, I'm so done with politics. Like, I'm just burned out. But then just took one campaign to like pull me in. Yeah.
I think we've talked about a lot of different things, but I want to go back just for a second for campaign life, because I don't know if we fully got into it. But like, voter engagement is a big piece of it. But is there are there things that have gone sideways for y'all? I'm curious, because I think the listeners to this podcast are kind of getting a feel of like what it means to be an Asian American in San Francisco politics. We all have different stories, and we all came in at different paths, but like, campaigns can be scary for some people, I think. And so like, is it terrifying to go knock on somebody's door and talk about like an issue that for me, I don't really care because I'm a lawyer. I'm like, I'll talk to you all day. But yeah, I'm just curious. Like, was there anything that went sideways one time in campaign life, or a weird canvassing moment, or emotional moments? I don't know. Like, there's anything that.
I mean, there's different levels of where people can participate in campaigns, right? Like, if you're more comfortable just like doing internal work, like you can help organize their flyers, things like that, right? That's just within the campaign office. Or you could just hold a sign so you're not really interacting with people, right? But I also think that is a training ground for you to try to work on your public speaking, if you do wish to do that, right? So you can level up from holding just a sign to like handing out a flyer to someone and be like, vote for XYZ, to like door knocking. And I think door knocking initially is kind of scary, but once you hit someone or you get a door that it's like, oh, they're supportive of your candidate, it kind of like boosts your morale. Like, I can keep doing this. And this is like more of a collective effort, right? You're not the only one who's door knocking. You're door knocking with a bunch of other volunteers on a campaign. So there's like, everyone's trying to work on this one goal of trying to get this person elected. So it's like more of like a group thing.
Yeah, like I'll echo a lot of what Natalie said. I used to absolutely hate door knocking. You get a little bit of like social anxiety, a little bit of like, oh my God, what if this like person ends up being a Republican? You just don't know.
In San Francisco?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
they exist.
17% of San Franciscans vote for
they exist,
Donald Trump.
Especially within the Chinese community. A lot of conservative folks. But when you start the conversation, that is like the best connection you can make. When you're face to face with a voter, you have their undivided attention, and when you kind of start talking about the issues that they care about, they'll open up. They'll tell you about their story. They'll tell you about their struggles. They'll tell you about what they care about and what they want more out of the city. And you use that conversation to kind of get them engaged, get them to kind of educate them about the candidate that you're supporting. And a lot of times those conversations can be very fruitful. And all you need is for that one voter to remember the conversation you had, to think positively about the candidate that you're supporting. And then, that oftentimes is enough to get their vote.
Yeah.
And once you have it, then like it's pretty solid.
Yeah. What I've learned about politics is a lot of it's the persuadable voter. So when you're in field, there's like a ones and twos that are like definitely supporting, but threes are sort of like, maybe, I don't know, I'm not paying attention. And like, tell me more. I don't understand who's this person? So I think that's the fun part. And it kind of becomes a game for me. It becomes kind of like, oh, like, let me help you. I'm just trying to help out. I'm very helpful. Like, hey, I'm a drag queen. Did you know that this campaign is happening and there's something to vote for in November, whatever. And it becomes a very like easy breezy conversation instead of like, I am here to talk to you about blah, 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 and I think adding your own spin to door knocking or canvassing, or maybe that's not your jam and you want to just do the phones. I was a telemarketer, so I love phone banking. Like I'm like, oh, give me a person to talk to. I will just smile all day. I smile, put on my smile, and I have a little cookie, whatever, and then I drink my little water, and then I'm like, hey, can I speak to Mr. Smith, please? Oh my God, is this Mr. Hi, is this Michael? Oh my God, hi, I'm Michael also. Like it's just silly stuff. But then it puts people at ease, and then they want to talk to you about stuff. And because I think most San Franciscans, I mean, we're so lucky that they are kind of engaged. Yeah. They are kind of reading the news. They know what's going on in City Hall. And so to have someone representing a whole campaign just offering their time to give, and that's what you're doing when you're campaigning. You're giving some time and energy and love to your candidate, your cause, your campaign. It's a really beautiful thing, and I think honestly what makes America strong. So like it's people talking to each other about like the things that they care about. Yeah. So I think we should start wrapping up. But I don't know, like last thoughts, kind of like politics is so hard. Like, why do you keep doing it? Why do you stay here in this fight?
I mean, seeing what's going on in the world right now, in the United States right now, right? Like, a lot of our rights and freedoms are getting taken away every day. So it's important for us to, even just on the local level, to keep working on it, keep fighting for it. For me, my thing and my passion is that I want to help working families thrive and succeed in San Francisco. As someone who grew up like very poor in a working family. My parents like were working blue collar jobs. You know, I want to make sure the next generation is able to stay in San Francisco, because right now, like for all of us, San Francisco is really expensive to live in, right? A lot of us either have roommates or, you know, we still live with family, or we try to find somewhere that's like rent controlled, but it's expensive to live in San Francisco. So how do we make policies or, I guess like, what am I trying to say? Policies or other things that are like, that can keep working families in San Francisco and thrive.
Yeah, like why I'm always in this is it really goes back to community. Like I've spent close to a decade in Chinatown, and every day when I leave work on Stockton Street, all the grocery stores put out their compost bins, and I see the seniors scavenge from the compost bin. They're picking through the garbage and seeing what they can take. Like I can never forget that, because it's like some of our most vulnerable, some of our poorest residents, like they're living in SROs, they're paying anywhere from $200, $300, $400 a month for a tiny little shoebox that they've lived in for the past 30 years. And, you know, the rents are only going up in SF. So where are they going to go? Who's going to make sure that their rent doesn't go up like a crazy amount? Who's going to make sure that they can live in dignity and have a landlord that actually repairs the only bathroom on their floor? Yeah, that's the kind of thing that keeps me going, because you know, I'm very privileged and fortunate enough to be in this position to, you know, where I understand what's going on. I understand where the levers of power are, and I'm gonna fight like hell to pull those levers of power for you to make your life easier. Because, you know, when I see these seniors, when I see the old folks just walking around in Chinatown, I see my family. I see my own story. I want to support this community.
Yeah, I mean, I love it because politics. Oh, so for the longest time, I did not understand what politics. There was a lot of fog, honestly. Yeah. I was sort of like, what is this? And then as I got into it, I was like, oh, it's just people who care a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, you can be progressive, moderate, whatever, but you always agree that you care about your city and how it moves, and that's kind of why I'm doing it. You know, I'm also, I feel uniquely equipped to fight. Fight meaning fight with my words and with passion and ethos, and kind of talking to people and understanding the issues that really care, and then really relating it to our lived experiences. Like my father worked in a hospital, so he wasn't unionized, but NUHW is a union, the National Union of Healthcare Workers, and he probably would have been a healthcare worker that's unionized. And when they tell their stories that they're up in a bargaining fight, contract bargaining for UCSF or whatever, and it becomes very clear: are you on the side of workers? Or are you on the side of like the big moneyed interests? You know. And for me, I'm on the side of the workers, and for folks who can live barely paycheck to paycheck, and they're just trying to make ends meet. And because that's my lived experience. I'm the son of refugees, you know, and Vietnamese refugees that came here 50 years ago to escape a country, you know, that was authoritarian. And that's where we are now, almost. You know, like fascism is here, right? Fascism is here. And like, this is one way to get in the fight, to, you know, help out locally, to protect ourselves, to build the infrastructure, to talk to our electeds from the state level in California, and then like, what are we doing to prevent like people from losing you know, essential services that keep them alive, keep them fed, keep them housed, stuff like that. And what's remarkable to me in why I still do it is that there are other people on the other side, they don't care. They just don't care sometimes, you know, like, and it's like, oh, that's different. Okay. And so I just want to thank the listeners who's still listening to this podcast, because it sounds like you care. And if you care, you want to get into the fight with us. And so we're here to recruit you, because I'm on the Harvey Milk LGBTQ Democratic Club. We're always here to recruit people, who especially, I'm the chair of the AAPI caucus. And if you want to check out more information, go to milkclub.org. But we'll put it in the show notes. Are there any things that you want to promote right now in episode 1?
Well, we're lifting the fog so we can bring the fury.
Yeah. Jeremy, last thoughts.
Stay engaged, and no matter how bad things may look in the national realm, there's still positive change you can affect locally. Yeah. And that should always give you hope that you can change what's right here in your backyard.
Yeah, we got to give him hope, as Harvey Milk said.
Of course.
And hope won't fulfill us, won't keep us alive, but it keeps us going and keeps us moving, and it connects us and brings power to the people. And so that's what this podcast is about. It's not who's just elected, but who's doing the work and what it means to be political in a city like San Francisco. So again, my name is Michael Nguyen.
My name's Jeremy Lee.
Natalie G.
And this is Between the Fog and the Fury.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.